Joining me now, three of the country's top flight political analysts. James Toronto, editor of the Wall Street Journal's OpinionJournal.com. Michael Goodwin, columnist, New York Daily News. Syndicated columnist, Miguel Perez. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Let's start out with Musharraf. What do you think?
I think there's no news here. Musharraf gave a speech in October 2001 as the Afghanistan campaign was beginning, a speech to his people in Pakistan. And he essentially said, look, folks, I'm really sorry. The Americans are making me do this. This is what he said 5 years ago. I think the most telling thing about what Musharraf said today was when he said, I am honor bound to Simon & Schuster. He's trying to sell books, and he's jealous of Noam Chomsky for upstaging him.
What globalization? You have Hugo Chavez pushing Noam Chomsky's book. It shoots to, at least the last I heard and looked, number 10 on the Amazon.com list. You've got Musharraf, the president of Pakistan, worrying about his deal with Simon & Schuster. I mean, Bush has got to be wondering what the heck, where's his book contract?
And probably all those books are printed in China. I think with Chavez, of course, the issue here at home, Lou, is the Democrats running away from Chavez, Charlie Rangel, Nancy Pelosi, because I think they realize...
Hey, we got to say this. Charlie Rangel, I mean, in my opinion, showed such class, as we pointed out here last night, when he sat there and just slapped the dickens out of him. And the man, Hugo Chavez, in his district, I loved it.
May I disagree?
Okay.
I think Charlie Rangel...
Can I stop you?
Charlie Rangel has said some of the very same things about George Bush. He called
but he is a congressman. He's an American citizen. He's got a right to.
No, but I think the issue is these personal gratuitous attacks on the president that demean the office of the president. I mean, when Charlie Rangel talked about Bush being an alcoholic, Charlie Rangel called him our Bull Connor. These are not policy disagreements. These are personal gratuitous attacks, and people like that have opened the door so people like Chavez come here and feel comfortable making those accusations.
I take your point entirely, and you're quite right. I still love Charlie Rangel for slapping Hugo Chavez down on it. What do you think?
I was impressed with what Mr. Rangel said. I agree with Michael, though. I wish when Fidel Castro speaks the same way about this country, Mr. Rangel would say the same thing about Castro, and he doesn't. And he's very friendly with Mr. Castro. But let me say something about Hugo Chavez. As a Hispanic, I feel ashamed that this man is giving all of us a terrible image. I think a lot of people see him and see Latinos having this anti-American attitude, which is not true. The overwhelming majority of the Latinos in this country love this country.
Absolutely.
And are very, very much ashamed of what Mr. Chavez has done.
Well, they can, but I think, let me say this to you, Miguel. Don't feel ashamed ever to be Hispanic because of the actions of this idiot. Because whether you're Hispanic, you're white, you're Asian, you're black, there are idiots out there doing all sorts of nonsense, and we can't assume.
I'm just concerned about the image he portrays. This is a man who's going around the world buying loyalty with his oil, including people in the United States.
Absolutely,
his own people,
including people right down there in Harlem.
50% of the Venezuelan people live in poverty. What is he doing about them?
By the way, it's unconstitutional in Venezuela to say anything disrespectful of the president.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
But I mean, the idea, I really think in 2006, and I really fervently believe this, I think we've come a long way from listening to some idiot from Venezuela, who is a certified card-carrying idiot, have any reflection on anybody in this country, except for those people who showed up to hold hands with him, like Danny Glover and a few of the other jerks.
Right. And I think also, what is the UN doing? Why are Ahmadinejad and Chavez being given these prime spots to speak at the UN when it's all such an agenda that is personal?
Now, is it a Republican conspiracy, James?
Well, I was going to say, I think that it's useful for us to hear what these crazy people have to say. I mean, this is what we're up against.
Well, these crazy people say,
Was there any doubt?
I was going to say,
there was a lot of doubt in a lot of people's minds. I think it helps to hear it, to have it said straightforwardly.
Well, straightforwardly, I mean, another couple of issues here are some rising poll numbers for the president and some sinking poll numbers for Congress. What are we going to make of this? This is a Bush bounce just before the election. Gas prices are declining. I mean...
No, the gas is definitely helping him, and the war in Iraq has sort of quieted down a little bit.
Quieted down.
We don't
not
see,
for 2,700 Americans almost who have been killed there. Not for 20,000 men wounded.
But we don't see the blood and gore that we were seeing before. I think things are a little.
Well, I think it's off the front page this week. I think it's off the front page because of the UN.
Sure, I understand that, but
and I think it's another thing going on. I think we're basically, I think of it as a baseball game, and I think we have about 6 more innings to go. So we're in the 3rd inning here of the sort of Labor Day through Election Day contest, and I think that we've seen some shift already, but I think there's a long way to go. It could go either way at this point.
But the Democrats have really been complacent up until now. They thought they were destined for a big victory, and I wonder if we'll see them get more aggressive and smarter. These Rangel and Pelosi comments about Chavez are perhaps an indication in that direction. Although I agree with you, Rangel did show class in this instance.
Good. And so did, and I should point out that so did Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats as well, which to me is the way it ought to be. I know you take exception to what Charlie Rangel says and the way he says it. I take exception to all name calling.
Yes.
But the fact is, he's an American citizen. He's got a right. He's Charlie Rangel's president too.
Well, but on this issue though of the polls, I think what Charlie Rangel and Nancy Pelosi are reacting to is the fear that they will be tarred with the Chavez brush. That's it. They've got to separate from the anti-American nuts, although they're guilty of many of the same accusations.
And Chavez actually expressly endorsed Islamist terrorism. He answered something the president said about extremists doing 9/11 and Hezbollah and so forth. And Chavez said, "We are not extremists. We are just standing up to the imperialist hegemons." So this is an explicit endorsement of our deadliest enemies.
Well, he also gathered in Cuba with the non-aligned nations. This is the non-aligned nations aligned against the United States. This is what this meeting was about.
Sure.
And Mr. Chavez, if you're part of the axis of evil, he loves you.
Right. Yeah. The other part too, Miguel, is
that's the larger.
This country doesn't have a strategy that is rational, or let alone effective right now for this hemisphere. And that being the case, we better be worrying more about what we're doing than what a couple of idiots trying to live past glories of Bolivar have on their minds, or whomever. Anyway, Miguel, good to have you here. Good to see you. Michael, thank you very much. James.
Thank you.
The federal government tonight says more than 1,100 laptop computers have disappeared from the Commerce Department over the past 5 years. Hundreds of these computers contain personal data from thousands of U.S. households. The Commerce Department assures us that this personal data is